Groupon, shop it. The channel, help it. If you click the link in the description.
Celebrity voice impersonator.
Party people in the place to be. What's going on? It's me. I was scrolling through Facebook as something was loading on the computer, and I saw that one of my favorite actors, Rip Torn, passed away today. Artie from The Larry Sanders Show. You may now flip, Art. And that took me over to Twitter. And as I scrolled over to Twitter, I saw Joe Pesci starting to trend, and I started to get worried. I started getting flashbacks of 2016 when we lost all our best and brightest, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, it can't be, and it wasn't. It was what's known now, I guess, as the Bagel Boss incident. Why is Joe Pesci associated with this? Well, if you saw the videotape, and I'm sure you have because you're here, there's an explanation, and I'll get into that in a little bit, as to why Joe Pesci could possibly be associated with this video. But according to Olivia Shea on Twitter, who I guess is the one that put the footage out there. So in Bagel Boss this morning, the misogynistic douchebag seen in the video was degrading almost all of the female staff as well as other patrons. Fuck this guy. And you know what that means in 2019? Whatever his life was before this is gone. Justifiable? Let's go to the videotape.
Degrade women. Why is that okay?
Why is it okay for women to say, oh, you're 5 feet on dating sites? You should be dead? That's okay?
Who said that to you here? Nobody.
Women in general have said it on dating sites. You think I'm making that shit up? Yeah. Everywhere I go, I get the same fucking smirk with the biting lip.
At the very beginning of the video, she says something along the lines of, is that fair to say, or is that okay to say? Is that okay to say? And he retorts with, is it okay to go into the short stuff? Now, what's very important here, maybe not most important, but what's very important here, that because this is 2019 in the internet age and nobody seems to understand context or before or after or instigating circumstances or whatever is, we only see this portion of what happened. We only get to see what was captured on this portion of the video. We don't know what happened before. We don't know what was said before. We don't know what happened before. Now, the reason why this guy is being associated with Joe Pesci, and more specifically, why he's being associated with Joe Pesci's character from Goodfellas, Tommy, is he seemed to have just gone off for no reason whatsoever, that misogynistic, angry little man. Now, as someone who is in fact a man, who has been angry from time to time, and who does not suffer from the terrible affliction that beguiles so many millions of people all over the world, known as over tallness, it's a shame. We really ought to start a marathon or something to help fix that. Some sort of telethon, pass around a hat, something to kind of, I don't know what we would do. Maybe chop off their shins, bring them back down to normal size, seeing as how hashtag 5'6" is the perfect height. I have been bestowed the mantle of angry little man from time to time. Because I'm angry, because I have been angry before. I am a man, always, and I am the perfect height and don't suffer from over tallness. Misogynistic, because he mentioned women. Why did he mention women in it? He's so like Joe Pesci. Except Joe Pesci and Goodfellas went off for the most part, no reason, right? Everyone remembers the scene in the bar. What am I, some kind of clown here to amuse you? Ha 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 ha. He was actually just joking. He went off seemingly for no reason. But Ray Liotta figured, Mr. Hill figured out that he was just fucking with him. Come on, Tommy, you're fucking with me, Tommy. And then later in the movie, he goes off for very little reason, with Billy Batts, shooting shooting what's his name in the fucking foot, seemingly goes off for no reason whatsoever. Here's the thing. There's always a reason. We don't see what that reason is here in this video. Or not necessarily the reason, but the instigating circumstance, right? So for instance, for a fire, right? Forest fire, right? The reason could just be too much brush, and at a certain point, you know, the heat comes down on it, or a twig is rubbed the wrong way, or something happens, and we have a forest fire, right? But the reason we have a forest fire is because there's too much brush there to begin with. The reason for, and unfortunately, I'm just gonna call this guy Bagel Boss, right? The reason for Bagel Boss's outburst seemingly is a lot of stuff on top of it. And we don't even get to see the instigating circumstance. We don't even get to see or hear or know what happened before. Piecing together from the little bit of footage that we have, it seems like he may have heard some laughing. He may have thought, whether it was or it wasn't, aimed at his direction. He may have thought that it was aimed at his direction, and he may have snapped. Now, that's not an uncommon occurrence. It's not. And it's not an uncommon occurrence for a guy like this to go completely batshit crazy after however many years of fucking emotional abuse, essentially being a pariah because he's not over tall like the rest of you mongoloids running around with your stuff on top shelves and whatnots. When people have seen me go off, and there are stories. Oh, there are stories. There has always been an instigating circumstance. There's always been something that started the whole thing, whether I was justified or not. And you know what? I will readily admit that there were times when I wasn't justified. I will also readily admit that there were times when I was, and there are times in between. But we don't know how this guy got to this point because we don't see it. The phone doesn't start rolling until after all of that starts. Let's see what else happens after.
Shut your mouth. You're not God or my father or my boss. Dude, you want to step outside? You want to step outside? Huh? I'm not standing, pal.
Our instincts, our natural instincts, is as if you're any kind of peacemaker or keeper or just don't want any trouble, just don't want any hassle, you just been through enough of it in your lifetime, our natural reaction is to try to get the person to calm down. And what's the first thing we think of in our heads? Hey, calm down. It doesn't really work for anybody who's at that level of anger. Because when you're at that level of anger, you just see red. You're just angry, right? So his reaction to that guy, not justified. I understand it. I get it. I've been that angry before. And if you say you haven't, you're a fucking liar. you're a fucking liar. And who are you lying to? Me? I'm your boy. You don't have to lie to me. I'm completely honest with you. Everybody has been at that level of anger where if you hear breathing from 2 rooms over, you're irate. How dare you expand and contract your lungs in that manner while I'm this mad? You've all been in, there's this level of anger where it really is narcissistic because it's all about you. And narcissistic / cathartic because you're getting whatever pent up rage, frustration, stress out. And that feeling is so much better than having it pent up and shoved in that it becomes a sort of narcissistic exercise where it is all about you and exercising that rage, that frustration, that stress. So I understand it. I understand it. He later gets in the guy's face. He says, you want to take this outside? You want to take this outside? Again, that's just the escalation of this guy's rage. And we don't know, and most of you don't know where that rage comes from. And I'll explain that to you in a little bit, but most of you don't understand where that rage comes from because most of you suffer from over-tall syndrome. And again, my heart goes out to you. I'm so, Sork can be with you. And actually, I want to point this out. If you think that a short guy won't get in somebody's face when they're that angry, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. There was an angle I did with a local company called Mayhem Wrestling Entertainment, run by this guy named Pete Doyle, who completely threw me under the bus, but saved Kyle Trapzilla for some reason, which is like, what the fuck, Pete? I never did anything to you. I liked you. What the fuck? Anyway, he threw me under the bus. But part of the reason part of when he threw me under the bus with that whole work shoot angle was he was kicking me and Kyle out of the building and got the boys all riled up. We had a huge plan for it. It just fizzled out. Part of the angle was I got in Pete's face, and Pete like under his breath was like, you wouldn't get in my face like that. And I was like, the hell, I wouldn't. Or later, something along the lines of he told Kyle or something like that, oh, you wouldn't get in his face. I'm like, the fuck, I wouldn't. Excuse me, I've been in real fights before. Do you think this mouth hasn't gotten me in real fights before? I've been in real fights before. And as somebody with any kind of pent-up rage and frustration who isn't physically imposing, the first thing you do is bow up. That's exactly what happened here. Because you know why? Because you're not going to let your stature, your weight, your whatever dictate to anyone else anymore anything about your masculinity, your worth, your being. At that point, you're going to go down. And you're going to go down. You're either going to go down in flames or you're going to go down a hero, but you're going down. Speaking of which.
Enough. You shut up, too. Just shut the fuck up. Go ahead and attack me, Jake.
Oh my god. I just wanted bagels. I recorded the whole thing.
Now that guy has been heralded as a hero. Bagel Boss guy didn't get in his face. He just said, you want a piece of me, essentially. He didn't actually get in his face. He didn't actually physically assault him or anything like that. He wants to try to play the hero here and say, because he said a thing, I get to hit him. Outside of AEW, WWE, professional wrestling in general, or sports in general, because it's kind of all the same thing, you don't get to do that. In the real world, you don't get to do that. And you're not a fucking hero for doing it. There was one time where I actually went out. There's a shirt that I have. And actually, I'll show it to you. So I went out one day wearing this shirt. Thousands of my potential children died on your daughter's face last night. In this font, right? Relatively humorous. Definitely offensive. I was in a FedEx store in the good old LBC, and a middle-aged white guy, right? I was like, what does that say on your shirt? I showed him. I was like, that's kind of funny. He's like, is it worth me punching your eyes out? It's like, well, is it worth you spending the night in jail over a fucking shirt that has nothing to do with anything? I know the power of words. Trust me, I do. The trick to the power of words is that they are just as powerful as the listener perceives them to be. No more, no less. So even with the intent is all important. There's a clip from Penn and Teller's Bullshit. There's a clip in which Penn Jillette is talking to a dog in a loving, caring way and saying, hey, little doggy, yeah, you like this, don't you? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to rip your fur off with no anesthesia, knock your teeth out, and fry you alive. And then he yells at the dog, I love you, dog! Is it the words? Is it the intent? Is it how it's said? The bottom line here is, unless you actually have a physical threat to your person, regardless of who it's coming from, your hands stay on your body. The end. But this guy thinks he's a hero because he charged and tackled a guy that was half his size, who is clearly in some sort of irate, angry, emotional state, tackled him to the ground and lectured him for being mean. grabbed him by the throat and lectured him for being mean, possibly could have caused bodily harm, or if he had fallen against the counter and cracked his head open, possibly killed him over some words? Yeah, asshole. Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. But surreal, you may be asking. How did the internet in all her infinite wisdom reply to this incident? Well, actually relatively even-handedly. I mean, there were, of course, the typical reactions that you would think there would be, angry little man, yada, yada, yada. But then there were some that actually got what was happening, that actually put some nuance into it. I'm pretty proud of you, Internet. I'm pretty proud of you, Twitter, for at least your early reaction to this video. You know what? Mazel tov. Cheers to you, baby. For having somewhat of a nuanced understanding that not every situation is just black and white. Now, I didn't see, there were a couple people that made some points that I made, like, we're not exactly sure what happened before the video started, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. This is clearly not just an incident about bagels or anything like that. This is built up from years and years of X, Y, and Z. Now, there were, of course, the mediocre responses, including one from Chris Raygun, which surprised me because he's usually better than this, and I think he is better than this. I don't know why he reacted the way he reacted to this, but his tweet was, "People like this annoying the shit out of me. Women don't like you because you're a dumb, weird, annoying, insecure colostomy bag of a person, not because you're short, LOL, trust me." I did reply, I'm like, man, there are better takes than the pedestrian, you're just angry one, Chris. He doesn't sound like he was thinking much about his response. He just kind of blurted something out there, and he didn't think about any other side. He just picked you're short, angry man side. Or not even the short side, just that you clearly have anger issues. Like, yeah, but they don't come, it doesn't manifest, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, it doesn't manifest itself from absolutely nowhere. And I think that's a part that a lot of people are missing when it comes to this incident. Now, he's already been memed. Why does it sound like I'm jumping to the guy's defense? Because anyone who hasn't been paying attention at all so far is just going to say, oh, you're just coming to his defense. You're a misogynist too. You're an angry little leprechaun too. Blah, 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 blah. Because I've gotten that treatment my fucking self. Like, this guy shows up to the bagel shop and is pretty much all the things, just looks like all of the things that it's okay to make fun of right now. Right? He's white, he's male, and he's short.
Absolutely.
Oh, and a guy 3 times my size. That's okay?
Get your food in the
What happened? I'm sorry.
Get your food in the
You know what? Fuck your fucking breath.
There's no need to play.
You think that's funny, right? That's funny. Why is that so funny? Now I'm going to take my breakfast. You think that's funny?
The guy comes back and he gets laughed at again in the heat of this moment. Like, everybody in this video, nobody in this video looks good. No one. No one. And if you say anyone else does, either you're a fucking asshole, a fucking idiot, or both. Because the guy who tackled Bagel Boss sure doesn't look good. Bagel Boss, his life is probably over. Whatever life he had is probably over. You know why? Because here's what the internet's going to do. The internet's going to find out where he lives. The internet's going to find out where he works. The internet's going to order his boss to fire him if he's got, if he doesn't, work for himself or whatever. It's going to be a shit show for this guy. More than it already has been. More than the rest of his life already has been. And again, the company themselves are already put out the thing, hey, if you mention it, you get a free mini bagel. Like, eat a dick. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
All you women drink shit like shit. All of you. All of you. Yeah, all of you.
You need to go.
No, you women need to stop being so fucked up.
And this is him saying you women need to stop being so fucked up, which again leads me to believe I want to know what happened before this video started. Because he did not just walk in and say, fuck all women, give me fucking bagels. Something happened that tripped him off. I want to know what the fuck that was. As insignificant as it was, whatever the fuck, I want to know what it was. I want to know what made him that mad in the first place. What set him off in the first place. Because there is a fucking beginning to this story. We just don't get to see it in this video. We'll get to see the results in real time because the internet. But we'll never get to see that beginning. And that's kind of fucked up. You also get to see in real time how easy, acceptable, and encouraged it is to make fun of the short guy. Because fuck the short guy. For nothing he can control. Anybody else in this situation, any other class of person, gay, female, trans, whatever the fuck, any other class of person can yell and scream all they want to, and they're a hero. And we don't even need to know what happened in the beginning. We just see them yelling and screaming and saying something about somebody that they feel oppressed them. Fucking hero. This guy makes his feelings known about what he feels happened to him in this establishment, and fuck that guy. And it's super easy to do that too. It's super easy to do that. That is a shame. That is a shame. I know you were probably expecting me to have some more laughs in this video, but just from my own experiences, I get it. I fucking get it. And even with everything else that you try to compensate with, I fucking get it. Pardon, people? Do you get it? Do you think I'm in the wrong here? And I know you do. And I know you do. So please, go ahead on those clicky clack machines and tell me how wrong I am. Call me an angry little man if you want to. Call me a misogynist pig if you want to for saying that short guys are a class of people that you can make fun of. But also try to deny that fact. If you can do it down there in the comment section. You can also like, you can share, you can subscribe. You can hit those links in the description, the Patreon link, the PayPal link, and the subscribe star link. Help keep the lights going on at the party, baby. Yes. Help keep me rolling in bagels. Actually, no, I don't really eat bagels. Do you eat bagel? What's your bagel spot? How about that? Comment down there in the comment section what your bagel spot is. Whose side of this are you on, if anybody's? My side? Of course you are, because I'm always right. Bagel Boss's side? Do you feel like you would have tackled him too, even though he was yelling and not doing anything else? Do you want to see what happened at the beginning of this tape too? I do. Before we make any snap judgments, I damn sure do. Let me know down there in the comment section. Poor guy. I do honestly feel for him. And I will tell you this, sir. Until next time, I would love to hear that. I would love if anybody knows who he is, have him reach out to your boy. I'm Surreal469 on everything. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. SURREAL, the numbers 469. Hit me up. Because I want to know what happened before what we saw. That's what I want to know. Until next time. Cheers.